Just anything that, sometimes they come in and shake you to get you going, but you had to be out there before the sun came up.
4 o'clock? Was it 4 o'clock? Was it the time?
Yeah, a lot of times it was. And we had cows to feed, then the cows to milk, and then it's just a lot of time to do. And then come Saturday, there was no fun there because you had to get the wagon and the horses, and you'd go out where the hay was, and you'd fork it out on there until you had a big load of it and take it in so it was sitting there, so you'd feed it all the rest of the week.
But did you take care of it for your mom and dad, right?
What's that, though?
Did you take care of it for your mom and dad? So
no, they took care of us.
But I know you went to work, and
when I came out of Grable High School, I was still 16 years old. So then I left there, left the farm, and went to where Carl and Gwen lived. Went to work for Carl, and then from fall, I went to where you go to 5 or 6 guys in the same place, and up in by where the sorry, brain stopped, blah.
That's okay.
Rick's?
Rick's, there we
Yeah,
go.
by Rick.
Don't mind that.
You had some roommates?
And yeah, I had, I think, 6 in there. And I didn't really know any of them. But I thought that was the way to get started because I still had a little money in my pocket. And we went that way through the first semester. And then Carl's cousin's son, about my age, a little older than me, but he wanted to come and live with Carl and Gwen because his home was clear up almost into the end of the world, I guess, because it was out of it was within a few miles of where the end would go, and then it would become Wyoming again. And so anyway, he came and moved in there, and he said, well, I've got a car, so let's do this. Let's get enough guys coming so that each can either switch off with their car, if they didn't have one, they could pay the difference, and we could keep it being working, and that worked really well. And then I told you about the guy that got run over by his truck, and that took his head off.
Oh.
Yeah. We went by it, and we were dumb enough that we didn't let it bother us, all with this one guy. When we got to the building, he got right on the phone and called his parents to come get him. He was heaving and was really bothering him. And, it took him about 3 days before he started coming be with us, and then it on well all from there. It really went well because the people that had cars, they seemed to listen to our turn, and once it didn't have a car to beat up against them, well, then, like me, I'd pay a little bit to pay it away. Worked well.
And what kinds of things did you study?
You know what?
What did you study?
Agriculture. That's all I knew. I was just an old farmer. Anyway, we had a wonderful teacher, and it worked good. So I went through that another, I think it was another half a year. And then about then, I think was the time I went back to Wyoming, and that's where I met Vida. And she was not a member of the church, but she was teaching for the ward needed somebody to teach younger people, and she loved it. And so then as time went on, I don't know how long the time was, but we decided that that was the best thing for us. And knowing that her dad would be a screaming crazy man, we got right up almost into Montana, and then we called him and told him we were on our way to go get married. We didn't tell him which direction, and he says, well, I'll send the sheriff after you. And he says, well, you'll have to catch us. And then instead of going up through the highway to Billings, I took a few little short roads that were easy to be sure we were safe, you know. And when we got up there, Vida had a really good friend that was going to school there, and she was just a year older, I think. And so we went to her house, and I think she had 3 or 4 other girls staying in there, and I'm sure if the sheriff would have come if they'd have known I was in there too. They put me off in the corner and put stuff around there where I was by myself. And overnight, I slept fairly good. And the next morning, well, we got to the
Was it a church or?
It was a church, but it wasn't a church. It wasn't just a regular place. Knew a little bit about.
Yeah.
Nothing about church, and so we were able to get. I paid him $25. That was a lot of money back then.
And we're on.
We got that behind us and went on to back home. Went to my parents. Of course, they didn't know we were getting married either. And they knew by then after, but before then. So told them what we'd done and how we're going to get busy and get Vida blessed and everything she needed so that she could go to the temple with me. And that's exactly what happened. It just took a little longer than we thought it would.
And which temple did you get sealed in? Was it Idaho Falls? Was there one of those? Or
You know, probably was.
Okay.
That's the only one we ever went to.
Okay.
And unless, I don't think the Doge Temple ever got done for that. That's a long time ago.
Yes.
Yeah. So we were able to. Yeah, I know we went to the Idaho Falls and we're feeling together.
Okay.
So that tells the answer.
Okay.
And then somewhere along the line, I don't really remember exactly where, one of my good friends out of high school had gone to work for the railroad. And he would tell me how much he made, how much fun it was. And of course, the time was not good because they were.
Is Scrappy in here?
Yeah,
Okay.
he's here taking care of everybody. I went down and signed up for the railroad and great. And I got to work a little while, and then when they were done with the season, they took me and a couple of three other guys, and they says, "Well, we can't keep you anymore. Your eyes are bad." Or one of them would say he was on something else, and just a dumb thing. So then the next thing I did, the next year, I went to Nebraska. Went to a different
Railroad.
rail bunch. Went to work for them, and was doing really good. And next thing I know, I was not any good anymore. So I said, well, in the meantime, we had two kids by then. And so we decided to go to Alaska. Done as we were, it was too late to go get a job there because it stops real early. And I got over there and I ran into a guy who was working in the roundhouse. And he just took a hold of me and led me around and showed me what was going and showed me how I wanted. Because I'll tell you, as soon as they're starting to bring people in to work for him, but there's just not going to be any work till now, till next spring. So we visited him a little while, and he says, "Where are you staying tonight?" "Oh, we got an old camp trailer on my pickup. We'll just stop and park." "Well, you bring it on over to our house first. You follow me." So I'm following him, and all of a sudden his vehicle turns off, stops. He's in a best kind of food. I can't name it, but it was good. He took us to his home, and we're sitting there at the table, and all of a sudden one of the kids gets called to say the blessing. And I looked at Vida, and she looked at me, and we nodded. I said, "You guys are LDS, aren't you?" "Oh, yeah." So we got to know them really well, and we told him we're going to turn around and go back to Wyoming and get things ready so that if they call us up, we'll come right up. And so when they did, I held back on the Vida. I said, I don't really want to try to get you there without me there, and I know it's going to cost too much money that I didn't have. And so we sent me on and left her in a little place that we were living in Greenwood. And so when I got there, well, I called her and she was looking good, just hanging there, and I'll let you know when we got some money and you can head up that way. And so there she heads with one kid in a basket, the other one on one arm that was trying to get away from her, you know. Anyway, by the way, one of them was your dad.
Yeah.
Anyway, they they let me know when they were going to come in, and went and met the railroad and got her in. She got to know Joe and his wife that we got to know so well, and they found a place to rent, and for us it was reasonable. And then I'd been working in the short time that I've been there, I'd been working in his little store that he had, and so nothing would do, but he had to ask Vida if she wanted to help. Well, I got these kids. He said, well, that's okay. We'll bring one of our kids that doesn't do very good taking care of selling food. We'll just let them play with the kids. And that worked pretty good for a long time. Then, one day he came to us and said, what would you think about taking over the excuse me, the store? And I said, well, why would you want to do that? He says, well, my mother's getting older. She's in Texas. She's never been to the temple. And my dad's long gone. We just want to run down and visit with her and bring all of our kids down and get them, they're old enough to get them ready to go. And says what we would do, we'd inventory this building, and with you helping us, and we'll get it all measured and put who's had what. Then when we leave, you take over. If you sell it, get what you sold out of it. And if you don't replace it, we'll do something different. So anyway, that went really good. They were gone, well, probably 5 or 6 weeks before they got back. And it was good for them. It was good for us. Then anyway, we took a trip on the train because it was free. We were working for them. We went there up to Fairbanks, and very different. I turned around and got back. I went over to where I worked and said, I want to go back to the church, not the church, but trying to get it to where I could go back to school again. There we go. And they wouldn't give me an inch on it. No, you just have to quit and start over. I says, okay. I'm sure going to miss you. And we came back. Joe had sold us a little old car that was probably worth a little more than he charged us. But anyway, we loaded that thing up and headed to south. And had all the kids, both kids loaded in, and we came down clear through everything. And then when we got back to home, we talked to my dad, and he said, "Well, yeah, I'd love to have you running the farm since I'm getting older." And so Ray and Carrie were living in the house where our house is, and it was Grandma Smith's house. And so they indicated they wanted to switch around, and Ray and Gary hadn't been paying anything in the cost of it. So they said, "Well, why don't you go up to Art Smith's house? It hasn't been used for a long time." So they gathered stuff up and moved up there, and we helped them move, and we moved our little bit of stuff into the building, and then come fall, I said, "Well, I think I'm going to try to go back to church. There's a school, I mean." And so we found a little place in can't even say that either.
Is it Rexburg?
Huh?
Rexburg? Rexburg?
No.
Oh.
No, in west of Level. It's a pretty good sized place. I'll think of it.
Cody?
No, it's not quite the Cody. It's in between.
Powell.
Oh, there we go. And Powell has a pretty good little school. Was a lot smaller than it is now. And they took me on. Vitus stayed with keeping care of the two kids. And it wasn't too long after that. There was one more kid coming. So I worked in that till it was time for us to go back to the farm, and Ann was born, and went back to being a farmer. Then just a few years later, before I realized that I had to find some more income coming in to keep the farm going. It just wasn't quite big enough. So I started working for AC, and he was a contractor. I was helping him nail houses together, and finally one day he said, the guy that I had hired to wire this house that we're just finishing, do you think you could finish it? I said, "Well, I don't think so." He said, "Well, it's yours." So I went ahead and wired that out, and worked a little more with him, and then I realized the guy that wasn't going to do it, he'd moved clear out. He wasn't doing anything. So I kind of took over, and I told Ivan AC that I would like to stay working for him, but I also think I would like to go be an electrician. And, all you needed back then was a scratch on a piece of paper. That was about it. So anyway, I did that for a while, and we worked on the house after we moved into it. We did some fixing up on it, and everything was going well, and then it caught fire and burned that down, and we all had to run for our lives. And, we might not have ever known it because the fire was upstairs, and the older boys were up there, and they come running down and said, "House is on fire." And so we were able to get everybody out, and I went to work and trying to get it shut off. And we did. Moved over to my parents' place and found an old beat up motorhome. Got that up and running. And then in the process, we started building a new house. And that's where a lot of our kids learned how to build a house. You know, your dad and Max helped us a lot. And anyway, we got it put back together, and the church bishop come out and he says, "When are you going to call us to come out and help you in that?" I says, "Oh, Bishop, we're getting along all right." He says, "Now wait a minute. This is not just for you. This is for everybody that wants to help." And so they came in and helped quite a bit, and got her up and going. And I don't remember anything between that time when the house burned down again. I don't remember any of that stuff. But it was the second one. We had put in a furnace that was heated by coal, and something broke down. Next thing you knew, the house was in flames. Oh, we had gone to Basie. There's a guy down there owing me some money, and I was afraid I wasn't going to get it. Anyway, got down there and all hunky-dory and got us paid. But on the way home, when I topped the hill before you drop down in to get close to home, I could see there was a fire going on. I tried not to let Vita realize it, but I kept speeding up. Man, we got there. All of our kids were in the house. We weren't. Well, that's the first thing we asked. Where's the other kids? "Oh, they're over at Grandma's. Don't worry about those." Anyway, the two boys were in there. They were still trying to pick stuff out of the house before it got damaged. And scariest thing you ever think of, because you should never go in after it's so far, you know. And I wasn't feeling too bad, and somebody that knew me pretty well said, "Did you save your guitar?" And I just sunk a foot. I says, "Never even thought of it." And I had a Les Paul, Guess Paul, something.
Yeah, with Paul Gibson.
Yeah, did pretty good thing. but wasn't enough of that to make anything out of it. But we got it all torn out, and hauled some of the junk away that we couldn't use, and rebuild it. This time we had to take take some money out of the bank, out of some bank. We didn't have anything, and they covered it for us, and then we got some money out of the fire because we had some covering on it, and we got it all put back together, and it's still turning good. That's a pretty screwed up time, huh? we were blessed though. We had a lot of people. The first burn, some people in Grable, some of them were LDS and some of them were just good friends, and they started gathering stuff up. We could have covered this building right here plumb full. We wouldn't have missed anything. Yeah, we wanted to say, "Oh, hold on, we don't need anything else." But they were sure good to us. And then second go round, they were good too. Just not, we had them calm down a little bit where they didn't throw so anything at us. But we had everything we needed. The second fire, we put in different heating, and got that all up and going and everything. So that was good. They gave us something extra if we would hine up for whatever. If we would use their equipment, and they put in the boiler that heats the house. It uses hot water, and I don't know what all. I don't remember anymore, but it was very handy, and so everything was working good. In the meantime, when we may not have been farming because we let the farm to a couple of different guys that wanted to rent it. We let them use it for a year or two, and then maybe go over to somebody else. I kept it going good, but then when we had it rented out, I would go find jobs and work and keep it going. And that's as far as I died. No. I remember a few things. One thing was when we rented a house in Grable. It was right down at the bottom of the Grable, and it was like $15 a month, and so we went for it, and it wasn't bad. We did all right. In the meantime, we were close to Arlene's parents, I just have to keep them separated. And we're able to drive there in just a couple of minutes because they're just south of, they were just south of Grable, about 4 miles. And so that worked out well. Everything was going pretty good, and all of a sudden, Wyoming went through a slump. Was hooked onto the oil things that they were trying to get them up, but nobody wanted it. Nobody wanted to pay for it. So that's when we. This is a ways down the road because your dad and mom were over in California, and we got out of there, and your parents says, "Yeah, come on over." Dad says, "We can find plenty of work for you." And so we came on over there. We learned a lot, and got it going. And I think we came back. Yeah, we went back the next winter, and we were there a short time, and got going back to work in California. Forest, you know who Forest is? Okay, he kind of went under, and so everything kind of scattered every which way. And we did a lot of work for him, try to save his life. Ended up, he owed me so much money, I took a lot of his tools. he was all right with it till just a few things. He says, "Do you have to have all those?" I said, "Well, Forrest, this is the exact power of what it's worth. I'm trying to take good care of it." You know, if he said, "Well, I'll come back and buy it away from you," that would have been fine, but he never did. And he never did give me any bad words then. Just went on with his life. I've seen him several times since then. He's doing all right. But we lost a lot of guys that had worked for him for a long time. Just couldn't put that back together again, you know. Then I died. I don't remember. I don't remember what I'm talking about.
Well, when did you get into plumbing?
Plumbing. Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm thinking.
Was that before California? No.
No.
Okay.
I was plumbing in Grable, and they may have told it wrong. They may not have been an electric thing. It might have been somebody building a bunch of pipes. Because I remember the guy that I was taking the place of, he wasn't working anymore.
Sure. You had to go into the office, get it signed, and you missed the cutoff date by a year or maybe a couple months. And you went in and you went to get it, and the guy said, "You're good. I know you." And he just wrote you the paper. And
I went in there, and he's an old guy, had been in there for years. And he says, "Can you get your hand up here on top of this desk? I says, yeah, I'll do what I can. He says, get her done. And that was all I needed to know about it. Yeah, I plumbed for a long time. And then when did I start plumbing? Well, the big standards that we started doing that in Grable. And then I did quite a little bit when I got to California because they had a, I don't know what it is now, but they had a crazy thing that if you worked for a guy who had the right numbers, you could go ahead and do the work under his name.
Mm.
And we did that a lot. So it worked.
So then you came back to Grable, and then you took over the Shumway's bakery at some point. Was that correct? There in Grable?
Oh yeah, that was before we went to California.
Okay.
We had we got it from a guy who had set it up. It was LDS, and he and his wife said they just couldn't keep it up and they were gonna go somewhere else. Okay. So then, once we had the food part going, Vida was making bread. Every morning I would actually make the bread, big vats in it. And then I'd go back to bed because Vida was teaching the
Seminary?
exactly. And so she would take the bread that was getting better, open the door and take it into the store, set it where it needed to be, and then go into the church and teach that, and then come back. And if she had good kids with her, well, she'd give them a few pieces of donuts or something, that kept them happy. And boy, after in the evening when nobody was coming and there was food left over, some of those kids would come up every time and we just hand it out to them because, can't take care of it.
Right.
They just loved it. But then we got into the carpeting. It wasn't really what I wanted, but this guy came in and ate some donuts or something, and he said, you sell much out of your plumbing? And I said, well, not a great amount, but it keeps me busy. He said, well, have you ever thought about putting a bunch of big things on the walls so that it showed what good college was going to, the good, everything was going to look good in your house or in wherever, And I said, well, shoot, I wouldn't even know how to hang it up. He said, well, I'll tell you what, if you hang it up, when you first start, I'll show you how to do it, and you can teach yourself to get it done. And so here I would get a whole bunch of orders, and then I'd get him in there, and he'd help me get it going. And pretty quick, I was hanging them up. Probably couldn't hang one for 2 minutes now without losing it. But anyway, I went pretty good for a while, and then the time came when we needed to go to California, and I was working for the guy that went broke.
Forrest.
Yeah, Forrest. I was working for Forrest's dad. And Forrest's dad had put in a whole row of apartments, you might say. and hired somebody to come in and put carpeting in. And he came to me and he says, I've got a real problem because that's going to cost a fortune if I have to bring somebody in here. It's a sloppy job. So he took me in there and showed me to a few of them. And I said, well, yeah, I think I can fix them. So I went through there and, well, one of them I hit that was a real fun one. The shower, it should have held back that way so that there was room for the outside. Was put in like you had this here, and it was supposed to sit here. It was over here, and there wasn't enough room to put carpet and everything in. They put it in there, but it was ugly. So I first of all, I took the piping out of there, not the piping, but the lumber, and get it so that it could move that back where it needed to be, and then we put stuff in. Finally got it all done. Finally started getting people in there, and a couple of times I had people just storming dead. We took over for this, and we haven't got a thing done for us. And I said, well, here's how it goes. It has to come by when people get it there and there and there, you go there and there and there. You don't jump here and here and here.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think that was very nice of me, but I just said, well, that's how it goes. Anyway, I got off of that for a while, and then brother, I'm not going to be able to say his name. Maybe you guys can, but he worked for us. And then when it went bad, he and his dad went into a better deal and went back to doing stuff. And so I worked for them for quite a while. And their son, his son, went to work for him. And somewhere along the line, he realized why can't I say these things?
No, that's okay.
Huh?
Don't worry about
No,
that.
he went into the church.
Was it a mission?
Yeah, well, there you go. And he worked through that till he was done, and came back to his dad and went back to work again. I worked for all of them that were working, and I made a lot of money because it was being paid by the ends. You know, if you got this done, you got paid for it. You know?
Mm-hmm.
One day I put in a shower, inside where you go in and wash your face, and then went on past that and put the stuff for the kitchen, and I had all the piping in. All I had to do was put them in and pull them down. But it had to be a magic, because at the end of the day, it had to be 2 hours short, because we had to head for the temple because we were working in the temple. And I got it all done and out of there, and nobody complained. So But anyway, Vida worked for a guy who was a Mormon and really nice guy. And so we just had a good going deal. We could get off work twice a month, a week, and you'd get essentially 4 days each week because that was the only way you could get up to the temple and be there on time and survive again. So anyway,
So this was you were working in a temple on Oakland? Is that the one?
for what?
Oakland
Yeah,
temple?
Oakland.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep, exactly. And I love it. It's a beautiful place. I haven't been back, but I took Vida. I gotta quit that. I'll get smile. Arlene, I took her back in there, and actually, we had moved away, and I asked permission if I could leave the list, when you leave in the back and got that going. I could wink at my wife. And she got in trouble. She was sitting around a bunch of women from, they're originally from the back in Hawaii. And they cornered her and said, "Who that?" "That's my husband." And another one says, "No, you can't do that. You just be good. Don't wink at each other." But anyway, it was a fun place. I had 12 kids, and
Vida did before you guys got married.
So she really wanted that all through her life. Got older, uh, it was pretty real. It just wasn't going to happen. And she would just really get sick, had a lot of health problems, a lot of times in the hospitals. I would go in with her, go into the hospital where she could maybe get in, and several times we sat with her all night because there was no place to go. It was over full, But she always had hope. But when hope I can get this across, but she was really sick, and I called a lady that we knew that was a nurse, and I said she really wasn't looking too good. What should I do? And she says, "You get him in there right now. Get her right in there." So I immediately called the ambulance, and they were treating her like she was a rock. And I said, "Hey guys, that's my wife. Would you treat her right?" But that was the last I saw of her. I got in the car and followed me. And when I got to that place, the nurse pulled me in. He said, "I hate to tell you, but You need to start calling it family. Not. And so she did. In my, I think she was prepared for that when Vida passed away. It was pretty tough on all of us, but our people who came to the
The temple.
there was 2 weeks, two bunches of them came, but when I got to the church where we were going to have the services, and I looked around, man, I looked this way and I looked that way. I said, man, I know every guy in here, women. They're all from the church. And the more I learned about it, they said, well, we had one brother who couldn't make it. And I knew who he was. He was fighting it real bad. And all the rest of them had ganged up and many cars at home they put in them, and down there they were. And there they were. And I had very generous things that were given to me, just unbelievable. And they would come just as we were coming out of the church. Some of them would just come up from you and just hand it to you. Then the next time I went to the church again, which was probably about 3 weeks later, because I'd gone back to Wyoming and then went back again. I determined to myself that I wasn't going to hang around and not feel good. I wanted to get up on the road and going again. And so anyway, I'm standing waiting for, like the guys all standing in a group waiting to get in when it's time for them to do something. Here this guy came by and he just stuck something in my pocket. And he just zoomed, was gone. So I didn't, we were busy right then. I didn't do anything. So when I got by myself, I pulled that wad of money out of my pocket. He'd give me $300. I thought, what on earth? I went back. Did you realize that was bigger than you thought it was? He said, no, that's what I wanted to bring. There's these people, you just can't believe how good people can be, And we, of course, had to first of all, I had to live through a year because I didn't think I would be around 100 women or anything. But I did have one guy later said, you need to get on this where you send your name in for people to look for you. And I ended up with, I think, 23 people who were writing back and forth to me, women. Anyway, not trying bragging of anything, but I'd tell most every one of them, I said, I'm really not ready to go ahead. And then we went to Oshkosh. Eric and Dan and I, or not Dan, Eric and another guy, Max. And we borrowed my wheels are not working. And my son, who died,
Dad.
there we go, borrowed his airplane, and I think Eric, he either got a ride on an airplane or something to get to Graybill, and that's where the airplane was sitting, and so he and Max flew to California, picked me up, and we took off for Washcots, however you say it, and that's a fur piece because it's just right off of the where the big waterfalls are on the north side of the United States, and the great big things are huge across, and so anyway, we got all settled in, and Max got in the back, and I said, "Don't you want me back here?" "No, it's your turn." Eric says, "Yeah, you get up here by me. We're gonna learn something." So we fueled up in Graybill and headed out, and you're leaving Graybill, you're going over the Bighorns to go down through Sheridan, and we just barely got it moving, and Eric says, "It's your plane." And I says, "Well, okay, I think I can do this a little bit, but if I do it wrong, holler." "Yeah, you're all right." So we get closer and closer to that big old rocky place in front of me, and I said, "What do I do now?" And he says, "Think about it." And I says, "Well, it's not climbing fast enough to get over those rocks. So I think I'll turn around and keep the airplane climbing and then turn back and go over." Because that's exactly what you're going to do. And so I flew it clear over there and clear down to Evans to
Sheridan.
Sheridan, there you go. And at that point, before I landed, I wasn't about to try to land, but the cost of something that they needed to stop and get fixed was something they needed to do. They didn't want to just forget it. And so we stopped there and we pulled something off, and I don't remember what it was now, but he was able to, Eric was able to get in where he could get one and get it back out and got it plugged in. And this time we took off across the wild countries. And that place is amazing when you get to Oshkosh. And when you first show up, they start talking to you. They say, "Give us your name and numbers, and we will guide you all the way in." And you look around, and here's, as far as you can see, there are people already just one after they are already parked. And I'm saying, "Well, how are we going to find that?" Then they'd come on and say, "Your assignment is such and such, and you'll be in right there. The guys will lead you right into it. Two guys, make sure you get in it." sure enough. And then it's a wonderful place because not only does it tell people how to do stuff and how not to, and then you got places to learn how to, anywhere from building airplane wings, and they'd go right into a group and just go through it all and learn it. We were there 4 or 5 days, I guess, and they have lots of places for food that are sitting there. You just pick the one you want. We slept right underneath the airplane, and no problems. When we were done, we pulled off and we flew to Eric's place in
Was he in Oklahoma at that point?
Oklahoma.
Mm.
And then we thought that was going to be a place to drop him off. And he said, well, would you mind running up here? There's a guy out advertising an airplane. I wanted to look at it. So we said, sure. We drove about 30 miles north and landed. And went over, looked at it, turned around and come back. And Eric didn't like it, so we let him off. And Max and I headed back for the wild country, I guess. That was fun. But anyway, when I got home to California, I had a letter from this lady I didn't know. Her name was Arlene, and she was very careful to say anything. Said that she never done this before. She didn't know how to do it. She was doing it right. So anyway, we started writing back and forth a little bit. And when the time got good, well, I started writing letters to all the people that I wasn't going to need any of them, but let them know anyway. And at that point, Arlene had flown up to California and we visited for a while, and I took her out to supper, and then I think she had some family there that she was able. I took her there. Anyway, when everything was running pretty good, well, she invited me to come down here. And I just came down here, and it was pretty sure that was the place that we needed to be. And so we got everything going. Arlene had her husband had left her, but I still hangs on until you get it cleared. And so we thought we had it all down, like they told us that it was done, and go ahead with your time to getting it done. And got people coming and everything, and all of a sudden it wasn't ready. And so we had to back off to a other type. You don't get anything with a name, but anyway.
A civil.
Yeah, and but at that point we were able to start going back to California and selling off the place there and getting all the stuff that we wanted to bring back here and selling it away the other. And then we brought it back here and unloaded. And everything was doing fine. her old husband didn't have a, he didn't care. He said, I don't know, nobody would think of it. So that wasn't any problem. But since then, he got rid of the wife that he picked after he left Arlene. And she went one way and he went the other way. And wasn't, maybe a year, he came up with another woman that's about the same age as Steve's age. And in other words, she's quite a bit younger than her husband. But she's been very gracious. They've been here several times, and she just loves us like she knows every one of us. And so that's worked real well. And wasn't any when Arlene had asked for the get it straightened out. He didn't have any problem with it, so it was gone and forgotten about. So ups and downs. First year we drove from here to there, to here to there, seeing different kids, and ended up in Wyoming a few times. Then after a couple of years or so, we went back to going to Wyoming and farming through the summer. And then I would pull out and come back down here and get away from the hot weather.
Or the other way around.
Cold.
No, yeah.
Anyway, I'm having trouble with too much cold weather. Anyway, and it worked pretty good, except we did spend a lot of time. Probably shouldn't have. We just kind of had the feeling, well, we're free, we can go do what we want. We just burn up too much time on things that we need to do. So, what other can I love you about? False. She didn't get her 12 kids, but then Elaine and I got together, and guess what? You know how many kids we have?
Was it 12?
12.
Yeah.
With that done, it's only 11 in here, but we're going, we're together. We talk. We try to talk to the same, but us being our kids.